Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another episode of 2Bob. My name is Craig, and today's topic is Theism 2.0. Theism 2.0. It's basically a reboot of the Theism post I did about 3 weeks ago. On that post, I basically provide you with a summary of a chapter in my book that I wrote 12 years ago regarding the belief in theism. Now, I have to admit, looking at that post, the summary was probably a little bit long-winded. And it's probably a little bit difficult to read. So I'm doing a reboot I'm doing another version of this post, but I'm not going to use this summary. Okay, so I'm just going to focus, as you know, theism entails two beliefs, right? It's the belief that the universe is a product of intelligent cause. That's the first belief, and the second belief is the possibility of supernaturalism, a supernatural revelation of God's nature can appear at any time and without warning. That's basically the theism in a nutshell. I'm not going to focus on the supernaturalism part. That's already been covered my focus is on the God part, the first of those two beliefs in theism. Okay, so let us now proceed with the evidence. We know fundamentally that a physical object of any kind, it loses its energy over time. Okay, the energy which is associated with a physical object, it dissipates, and when that happens, a physical object of any kind will lose its composition and deteriorate, and it will break down so there's nothing there. Now, a physical object contains atoms and molecules and things like that, as you know. The atoms and molecules will still be there, as far as I know, but the nature of the physical object itself will be gone, okay? So that proves that since the universe is physical in its nature, right, that proves that the universe couldn't possibly be eternal. Okay, so therefore the universe has to be finite. It has to have a cause. Okay, since we know that nothing cannot actually give rise to something, that this cause cannot be nothing. You cannot possibly have a universe from nothing. Okay, that's just anyone who says otherwise is just pulling your leg. Okay, so we know fundamentally the universe began to exist at some finite point in the past. Now that obviously means that the universe has a cause of some kind. Now, the cause of the universe is either intelligent or non-intelligent. Now, by definition, a God is just an arbitrary word that refers to an intelligent creator of the universe. So if option A is true, then that means we have a winner, chicken dinner. You know what I mean? God exists, and atheism is put to bed once and for all. But there's a second option. Was the universe created by a non-intelligent cause? Well, I would say no, for the simple reason that every intelligent effect, every non-intelligent effect requires some kind of input. The characteristics of a non-intelligent effect must inherently be mapped to the characteristics of the cause or the input into the system which created the effect, the mechanism that created the effect. You understand? So because the universe began at some finite point in the past, that means and it couldn't possibly be brought into existence by a non-intelligent cause, because a non-intelligent cause requires input, doesn't it? But there's no input because the universe hadn't begun yet. You understand? So a non-intelligent cause requires input, but there's no input. The only input it could receive is from an intelligent cause. You understand? So it's very, very easy. The universe was brought into existence either by an intelligent cause or by a non-intelligent cause. Okay? But it couldn't possibly be brought into existence by a non-intelligent cause because there's no input to create the output. The output must reflect the input. No input means no output. You understand? So it couldn't possibly be, the universe couldn't possibly be the result of a non-intelligent cause. It couldn't possibly be a non-intelligent effect. Okay, so therefore, with the one option remaining, we know fundamentally that the universe has an intelligent cause, aka God, or some other word that you want to use to describe this particular entity. Some call it Yahweh, some people call it Yahweh, some people call it Allah. Doesn't matter what name you use. So that's very simple, isn't it? So what I'm going to do now is just basically repeat myself. The nature of every single physical object in existence, right? The nature of every single physical object in existence, it harbors an energy, and that energy dissipates over time. Every single physical object loses its energy, and as it's losing its energy, it's slowly losing its composition, its characteristics, which define the nature of the physical object. Okay? So because the universe is physical, right? We're talking about a physical universe, right? That would mean then that the universe couldn't be eternal. It has to be finite, because the universe would fizzle out an infinite amount of time ago. That's obviously preposterous. That doesn't make any sense. So the universe definitely has a cause. The universe began to exist. It began to exist at some infinite point in the past. Now the question is, what was the nature of the cause behind the universe? Was it intelligent or was it non-intelligence? Okay, we know fundamentally it couldn't be non-intelligence, because a non-intelligent effect of any kind requires input. It requires input. The characteristics of a non-intelligent effect must be a direct mapping onto the characteristics of the input into that cause. You understand? That's and you can't get around that at all. I'll say that one more time. The characteristics of a non-intelligent effect must be a direct mapping onto the characteristics of the input into the cause which produced the non-intelligent effect. That's a critical fact, all right? And this proves absolutely that the universe could not possibly have been created by something which is not intelligent, okay? So we have cause and effect. So something of an intelligent nature brought the universe into existence. And that's all you need. So this post has gone for 7 minutes, and I've repeated myself twice now. So it really just takes a few minutes to prove the existence of God. Now, all these pundits out there, they write books. I wrote a book, as I said to you before. I wrote a book about it. You don't need to write books. You do not need to write a fancy book about the existence of God. You just need to use this and simplify your arguments, simplify your reasoning. I'm going to repeat myself one more time, and this will be the third time. Normally I repeat myself twice, but because we're talking about God here, it's a pretty critical subject, I must add. I'm going to repeat myself for the third time, and I won't repeat myself anymore after that. Okay. We know that God exists based on the following. The nature of every single physical object in existence, it loses its energy over time. It's the energy which holds the constituent matter together, all right? Every object loses its energy, all right? And therefore, it can't possibly exist for eternity. So every physical object in existence has a finite amount of time in existence. Because the universe is physical, right? As we all know, the universe could not possibly be eternal. It has to be finite. Therefore, something brought the universe into existence. Now, this cause, or whatever it is either intelligent or has no intelligence whatsoever. These two options, those two beliefs, those two views form a logical dichotomy. You cannot possibly, one of them has to be true and the other one has to be false via logical necessity. Now, I submit to you that the universe could not possibly be the result of a non-intelligent cause, because a non-intelligent effect requires input, okay? The characteristics of a non-intelligent effect must be a direct mapping onto the characteristics of a non-intelligent cause, input into whatever it was that produced the effect. Now, the universe began to exist at some finite point in the past. So what was the input? There's no input. Understand? So the universe is a timeline. The universe began here. Before that, there's no input. There's no possible input into the non-intelligent cause. There's no input. So therefore, there's no input into a non-intelligent cause. There's no output. There's no effect. Every single non-intelligent effect requires input of some kind. So the nature of the nature of the outcome, then the characteristics of the effect, is directly proportional to the characteristics of the input. So there's no input, zero input. Zero input means zero output. And that's all the evidence you need to prove that the cause behind the universe must inherently be intelligent. So all you people out there that believe in God, you're right. Thumbs up to you. And all you atheists out there, you hard-nosed atheists, you need to grow up. It's that simple. Now, in a previous post, I discussed the theory of evolution. I just showed you how stupid it is. It really is a dumb theory. It has no logical basis whatsoever. And atheists, they clamor to this theory for some reason. Well, I believe they do it because it promotes in their mind, they can see how there's no existence of God. They can see how all this is possible without an intelligent cause. Because it just happened, isn't it? The Big Bang Theory, it all just banged into existence. And then it just happened in random mutations and natural selection. It just happened without intelligence, and they fantasize about that. Like a pornographic magazine, they look at it over and over again. It's amazing what you can see. Anyway, so atheists, obviously, they use their theory of evolution to justify their lack of belief in God, right? In reality, they do believe in God. They don't want to admit it. And that's the issue, okay? That's the real issue here. So, Theism 2.0, God exists. Very, very simple. Very, very simple indeed. So, on that note, I bid you farewell, and I truly wish all blessings to you. May God bless you all. Okay, bye-bye now.